welcome to another edition of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we're going to be continuing Naruto The Last Senju. What if Tsunade adopted Naruto? Part 4. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and you like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcasting stats to come out now and in the future. So just a bit of news, I'm going to be going out of town this Friday and I'm going to be gone for a few days. I'll be back, so next week's videos will be fine and as normal. But because of that, I am going to be pre-recording Thursday and Friday's content ahead of time. So I just want to let you all be informed because with this video, I had to cut out a lot of dialogue and there were plans for other parts, but this part 4 is going to be more of a summary and detailed based story more than anything. And since this part is basically going to conclude the first part of Naruto, then this will be the finale of the part 1 of this series, if you will. Also, seeing as how you guys did so well with the first like goal that I assigned you for the Naruto Rebirth series, I've decided to do the same with this one as well. But just to make sure you guys really want it, I'm going to be giving you guys a like goal of 40. If this video gets to 40 likes by next Tuesday, then we will continue into Shippuden. If not, then the slot will be taken by something else until we reach the 40 mark. I don't really like to do like goals very often, you know. I'm not someone who's trying to like force people to want to watch or interact with something that they really don't like. But my thing is that my time is valuable. You know, I say this all the time, but I want to make stuff that people are actually going to care about. I don't want to have a situation where I put all my efforts into a series and then you reach a year from now and you see that only 100 people who first watched the video have still been the only 100 that's watched it since. You know, I kind of want to avoid that. So that's why this video is going to have a like goal of 40. Get us to 40 likes and we'll continue into Shippuden. But anyway, that's all the news and information I have for you guys. So stay tuned for anything else that comes out. And make sure that you have your notifications on so you can always be up to date with the channel as we continue. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. During the 1 month time period before the finals of the Chunin exams, Naruto would spend his time training with Jiraiya. Now, you might think this is the same as how all other Naruto training arcs go, but it would actually be a lot different. Remember, this Naruto was never raised in the Hidden Leaf Village, meaning that up until 6 months ago, Naruto had never been to the Hidden Leaf. Meaning that in overall terms of how he was raised and how he was trained, it was much different than canon Naruto. This version of Naruto was raised by Tsunade, Shizune, and then later on with the assistance of Yamato. This meant that Naruto had the special attention that he actually needed to cultivate him into being a better shinobi. Unlike the original Naruto, who went to the academy and had many teachers outside of Iruka who really didn't care for him or take the time to give him the one-on-one teachings and lessons that he needed to make up for his flaws, these would be issues that would have been avoided a long time ago. This means that Naruto doesn't have to spend time working on chakra control or trying to better improve the fundamentals before he can take to learning high-level ninjutsu, because all of that self-control and discipline would have been instilled into him at an earlier age. This means that instead of wasting time with water walking or things of that nature, Naruto could jump straight into other aspects of training, like the summoning jutsu and even the Rasengan. Remember, Naruto was able to learn the summoning jutsu in just under a week's time after working on his chakra control for most of his 1 month time period. So in this scenario, Naruto would have 3 more weeks to learn any more jutsu that he could incorporate. Now, the original Naruto was able to learn the Rasengan within that amount of time, so giving him around 3 weeks to do so wouldn't be out of the question. Now, the real question here is, would Naruto be able to perform the one-handed Rasengan, or would he still need the assistance of a shadow clone? Well, for this instance, Naruto would still use the shadow clone for assistance. It's not to say that Naruto's chakra control wasn't good, but it was just that it hadn't been perfected to the point where he could perform a one-handed Rasengan like Jiraiya could. However, the shadow clone made up for where it lacked. And this showed Jiraiya the level of ingenuity that Naruto had when it came to his training into his ninjutsu. Similar to his father Minato, Naruto showed why he was more of a prodigy than many would give him credit for. Because the fact that he was able to think outside of the box, to use a jutsu like the Shadow Clone Jutsu to make up for a deficiency, and to do it on the fly when it came to creating the Rasengan, was definitely something worth praise. Overall, Naruto's skills would be a lot more refined, a lot more sharpened, and a lot more improved. Also, with the likes of having his chakra control training from Tsunade, he could use his chakra to increase his overall strength and speed when it came to fighting. Eventually, we would reach the finals of the Chunin exams with the 5 matches as listed out before. The first match would be Ino versus Sakura. Now, this fight would be much different than the canon fight between Ino and Sakura, mainly because the two of them would have been training a lot more intensely. Remember, this version of Sakura was put on Team 8 with Koronai, Kiba, and Choji. That means she didn't have time to fangirl over Sasuke because Sasuke's not on her team, and Koronai actually made her focus and take her training seriously. It means that Sakura was able to bring out her genjutsu talents to the forefront and show a great level of prowess when it came to using genjutsu, even despite not being an Uchiha. It was something that Koronai definitely took great pride in, seeing her student blossom to such a degree. As for Ino, she took to the fullest extent of using the powers of the Yamanaka clan, as well as learning how to improve and add other skills. She had even managed to acquire the Shadow Clone Jutsu. While granted she could only make 2 clones, that was still a pretty impressive feat on her part, and she was able to come up with various techniques and other skills to use in conjunction with the clones. Now, how does this fight go? Well, on one hand, you could definitely say that Sakura has the advantage, but keep in mind, their fight ended in a draw in the original timeline, and even then, Ino was still able to push Sakura on the ropes for the most part. While the fight would go back and forth and would sometimes favor Sakura, I'm going to say that Ino would ultimately get the win. The main reason being is that usually around this time in their childhood, I could make the argument that Ino was actually a lot stronger than Sakura. And so now that Ino has the motivation to improve and the encouragement to grow and to change, I think it allows her to bring her full prowess to the forefront, and she manages to get a win over Sakura. The next match would be Rock Lee versus Sasuke. Now, this is a match I've done a few times in some of my what ifs. Usually the fights can go either way. Sometimes Rock Lee gets the win, sometimes Sasuke gets the win. But narratively speaking for this story, and with all the players involved, Rock Lee would actually win here. The main reason being is that while Sasuke definitely wants to improve himself, he has no immediate pressure to do so. Remember, Sasuke is on Team 7 with Hinata Hyuga and Shikamaru Nara. The reason being is that this team is actually a lot more balanced in the way that they interact and get along with one another. Unlike in the original story, this team has no Naruto Sasuke, 2 alphas trying to outdo one another mentality. Shikamaru just isn't that type of person. He's a laid-back, chill, reserved kind of character. So he doesn't have the ego to try to challenge Sasuke to be the top dog of the team. And Hinata has a great deal of love and admiration for Sasuke, since Sasuke in this story takes the place of Naruto in the terms of how he helped her out against those bullies at a young age, and basically ended up affecting Hinata and gaining her favor. And because of that, Hinata looks up to Sasuke and wants to try to reach his level and try to improve herself while dealing with her own struggles from her own clan, the Hyuga clan. Because of all of this combined and put together, this means that while Sasuke still sees Naruto as a potential rival and Gaara and others, he has never had to train with anyone who was actively trying to push him or actively trying to get to his level. Because of this, I would believe that Sasuke would just be a few tiers below where he could actually be. And Rock Lee, who never suffers an injury in this timeline and would still be training like crazy, would just absolutely wash Sasuke. While Sasuke would definitely put up a fight, ultimately Lee would manage to get the win. And this is what would hurt Sasuke's ego the most. Someone like Rock Lee, who had no talent for ninjutsu or genjutsu, was able to overcome the mighty Uchiha. And this would be damaging to Sasuke's pride. The third match would be Hinata versus Neji. Now, this is definitely a fated battle that's been meaning to happen for a while now. But this is not going to be the same as in the original timeline, and I'll explain. Remember, this version of Hinata is on Team 7, with the likes of Kakashi, Sasuke, and Shikamaru. Because of this, Hinata has a stronger, encouraging support system around her, and her teammates would be aware of what she was going through with the main branch and the side branch beef. Because of this, she has the motivation to actually do better and to stand up to Neji. And we've learned that in the grand scheme of things, out of all the Hyugas, Hinata actually has the most promise. It's just a matter of her having the confidence and the motivation to bring her skills to the forefront. This would definitely be the classic exchange between two Hyugas. Basically, gentle fist taijutsu galore for everything to be on the forefront. However, Hinata, having the encouragement, the will to never give up, and the drive to improve and to show her worth, would be managing to overcome Neji in this moment, giving her the victory and the win. Also, this does a lot more for Neji as it changes his perspective in a major way, as Hinata was someone that he thought could never change or improve, and yet now she actually showed she was capable of doing so. This affects him a lot deeper than his original loss to Naruto, since the person who earned the ire of his attentions actually managed to prove him wrong, as such changing his philosophies in major ways. Also, Hiashi would still speak to Neji, and for the most part, things would begin to smooth over for the Hyuga clan. The fourth match would be Shikamaru Nara versus Shino Aburame. Now, this is definitely a unique clash in styles. With Kakashi as Shikamaru's teacher, Shikamaru will definitely be more improved and will want to try harder in this fight, but Shino's going to be just as motivated as well. It would definitely be a unique clash of styles, as Shikamaru would try to avoid the insects that would basically act on Shino's command whenever he got captured. So it's basically a 2-on-1 handicap fight. Ultimately, who comes out on top, it could be in either case. While I do think Shikamaru could put himself in the position to win, I think similar to the original story, Shikamaru would ultimately give up. The main reason being is that Shikamaru is a smart fighter. He knows when to quit and when he's at his limit. While Shino would win and he would feel a bit deflated that Shikamaru would just give up, at the very least he could take solace in knowing that he pushed Shikamaru to that degree, but it would definitely be a battle of mutual respect. Finally, the fifth match would be Naruto versus Gaara, Battle of the Jinchurikis. Now, this version of Naruto would be a lot stronger and a lot more skilled, meaning he'd be far more capable of holding his own against Gaara and in terms of overwhelming him. Also, having shadow clones that can make Rasengans attacking away at the Sand Dome can definitely be an added bonus. Naruto would do a lot of damage to Gaara, forcing him to retreat ultimately as the operations of Konoha Crush would begin. Now, this is where a major change occurs in the story. Tsunade would be in the arena during the events of Konoha Crush, along with Yamato as well as Shizune. Tsunade would join Hiruzen's side as he would find himself in a life and death battle against Orochimaru, as they would be sealed away on top of the roof as they would do combat. This would mean that Tsunade and Hiruzen would be teamed to face against Orochimaru along with his Edo Tensei first and second Hokage. This leads to a powerful interaction, mainly because Tsunade would be face to face with her grandfather, someone she hadn't seen in a long time, and Hashirama would actually feel a strong sense of sadness to have to fight his own family. I could see Orochimaru allowing for him to keep more of his personality here, if only to play psychologically with Tsunade. Any fear that Tsunade has of blood in that moment will be washed away over her strong hatred for Orochimaru, for everything he has done. And her will of fire, you could honestly say, would be restored in that moment. Now, Hiruzen was able to hold his own a lot well given how old he was at the time, facing a 3-on-1 battle. However, having Tsunade and her capabilities alongside him means that things do not go easy for Orochimaru in this circumstance at all. Also, we have no idea what type of sealing ninjutsu Tsunade has, if she could even know any at all. But in either case, I would like to think that she would know enough sealing jutsu to be able to hold her own and fight against the likes of the Edo Tensei. And also keep in mind these are weaker versions of Edo Tensei than what we saw in the war arc. This ultimately means that Orochimaru would be forced to retreat, possibly taking a lot more damage, but this also means that Hiruzen would still be alive in this timeline. In the meanwhile, Naruto vs. Gaara would still go about the same as it does in canon, although Naruto would definitely have a lot more of a stronger advantage, given that he would just be a bit more powerful in this overall story. But what happens after Konoha Crush? Well, a lot of things change for the most part. For one, there is no search for Tsunade because Tsunade is already in the village. It also means that when Itachi and Kisame attack and Kakashi finds himself being injured by the Tsukuyomi, it means that he can be healed a lot more quicker. Now, I do think that Sasuke would still learn the truth of what happened to Kakashi and he would be angered by this, but the only issue is that Itachi and Kisame would have no choice but to retreat. With Jiraiya, Tsunade, and the third Hokage in the village, this would give them more of a reason not to stick around for too long, simply because they wouldn't want to have a fight that they couldn't win. Now, ultimately, what does Orochimaru do here? His arms aren't sealed away, so he could still use ninjutsu, but he still would have incurred enough damage to have to receive a new vessel. He would still send the Sound 4 after Sasuke. Even if Sasuke didn't get absolutely obliterated by Itachi, his insecurities would still be at the forefront of his mind, and his loss to Rock Lee would still have him stewing. So I could see Sasuke ultimately still being enticed to leave the village. However, if he tries to do so, this is where another change occurs. The team that is sent after Sasuke would be a lot more stronger, and I'll tell you why. You would have a stronger version of Naruto, a Hinata and the Ino, and potentially a Sakura, who are all capable of actually helping this time around. On top of that, you would have Kiba, you would have Choji, you would have a Rock Lee that wasn't injured, you would have a Shikamaru that would be leading them, along with Neji as well. Basically, outside of Tenten and Shino, you have virtually every other member of the Konoha 12 able to assist them in this fight. This means that when dealing with the likes of the Sound 4, it would definitely be in the favor of Konoha. And also, with the aid of the Sand Trio that would join them not too long afterwards, this actually works in the favor of the Hidden Leaf. Also, Naruto wouldn't be the only one that arrives to the Valley of the End. Shikamaru would arrive also along with Hinata, as they are both fellow members of Team 7. This leads to a 3-on-1 encounter, and Sasuke would be on the losing side, primarily because of the fact that even with his power, he wouldn't be able to overcome all three of them together. With Shikamaru coordinating, they would be able to bring him down. Now, you might be wondering, Why did Naruto and Sasuke fight one-on-one? Again, Naruto was never raised in the Hidden Leaf, which means he has no connection to Sasuke on a personal level, so he has no rivalry with him. There's no reason for him to be enticed into a one-on-one fight, even if Sasuke tries to goad him into it. This Naruto actually thinks a lot more smart and a lot more logically, and he's more concerned with making sure that the mission is done than getting involved in a petty fight. Because of this, Sasuke is taken down and brought back to the Leaf, where he once again has a heart-to-heart with Kakashi, and the words would hit more differently. Because now, Sasuke tried to do things on his own and he failed horribly. However, he would see the teamwork that was on display when his fellow members of Team 7, along with Naruto, were able to bring him down. Also, Hinata would reach out to Sasuke more, and Sasuke would be moved by this. So for now, Sasuke's anger would be quelled and he would stay in the Hidden Leaf. But now that that's the case, what happens next for Konoha? The third Hokage, after his fight with Orochimaru, would decide that he was done. He couldn't keep doing this anymore. But who would be the next Hokage? Well, he had two candidates right here, Tsunade or Jiraiya. Which one would take the position? Now, if you're thinking Tsunade is going to be talked into doing it, you're wrong. Even though Tsunade was willing to help the Leaf, and she's willing to help them for now, she has no intention on taking the title of Hokage. The Hokage title has taken so much from her. It took her brother, and it took her first love, and she just couldn't subjugate herself to that. She was a mother now. That was her main priority. But Jiraiya had his spy network. He couldn't just afford to stop now. That's when Tsunade would suggest handing it over to the likes of Yamato. Yamato, from what Tsunade could see, had grown a lot stronger over the years. He was capable of using wood release, and outside of Kakashi and Itachi, was probably one of the most top-skilled Anbu that they had in the Hidden Leaf at the time. If anyone was capable of doing what Jiraiya did, it would definitely be him. Jiraiya couldn't argue with this, but he still felt like he was inadequate to be Hokage, given his overall strength and feeling like the likes of Minato had surpassed him a long time ago. Also, he wanted to train Naruto more, especially with the threat of the Akatsuki looming over them. But Tsunade also wanted to train Naruto as well. There was so much more she wanted to teach him, and now she felt like she had the opportunity and she knew she needed to do so. Also, Naruto had spoken to her that there was a certain someone he wanted to have her train as well. Someone he believed had potential to learn greatly from her. So, what were they going to do? That's when Hiruzen decided. About 2.5 years. That was about as much time, maybe 3 years max. He could give them that time to sort things out, to decide what they were going to do. And so, a deal was made. Tsunade would take Naruto, Shizune, and Ino for 1.5 years. During this time, Tsunade would be allowed to train the two. However, once her time was up, Tsunade would return to the Hidden Leaf, and Jiraiya would leave with Naruto and Yamato, and they would pick up the remaining time, while Tsunade would stay in the Hidden Leaf village and continue training Ino. This was seen to be the most fair of decisions. While Tsunade was training Naruto and Ino, Jiraiya would be receiving some of his own personal training from the third Hokage, as well as working at Mount Miyaboku alone. If Jiraiya was going to take the position, he couldn't hold it off any longer. His days of being an imperfect sage was over. He was going to have to perfect sage mode. He believed a 1.5 years worth of time would be all that he needed to accomplish this. Then afterwards, he would return and help pick up Naruto's training. Once that was done, and the 3 years were over, Jiraiya would officially return to the Hidden Leaf Village and would take the role of the next Hokage. Hiruzen would take a deep drag from his smoking pipe. He had been Hokage for this long. What was 3 more years going to do? He would hold it down for 3 more years. Afterwards, Jiraiya would take the mantle of 5th Hokage, and Yamato would take Jiraiya's position. After this, Naruto would be informed of what was going to happen. And to an extent, Naruto was happy. Although he was a bit saddened that he'd have to leave the village after he had just gotten here. But he looked forward to training with his mother, and then training with Jiraiya. But also, he'd get to spend some alone time with Ino. Ino was shocked also when she learned that she had actually been recommended by Naruto to train with Tsunade, and that she said yes. Ino wasn't sure of what to do. Did she actually want to take this opportunity? Her father would recommend that she did so. Tsunade was one of the strongest kunoichi the Hidden Leaf had ever seen. If anyone was recommended to be trained under her, it meant they had to have some special talent. Ino would be surprised by this, but she decided she'd give it a chance. And honestly, the idea of just her and Naruto, it didn't seem so bad. Although, she'd never admit something like that. After all, she's still light. Did she though? One day while Ino was walking about, she saw Sasuke walking in the village, with Hinata by his side. And if she didn't know better, she could have sworn Sasuke was smiling? Had she really lost him? Well, she never had him to begin with. But was that such a bad thing though? As time had gone by, Ino couldn't really say she felt the same she used to. Did she really love Sasuke? Or had someone else taken over her heart? These were the things that pondered through her mind. Eventually, though, the time to leave would have come. The 3rd Hokage, Yamato, and Jiraiya would stand at the gate, seeing off Tsunade as she left with Shizune, Naruto, and Ino. The two smiled as they waved back to the group before taking their steps out of the village. Ino was a bit nervous. She had never really been outside of the leaf to such a degree, and she wondered what awaited her on the outside. However, Naruto smiled as he reached out his hand, assuring her that there was more to life than just the Leaf Village. There was a whole world out there, a world they were going to get to see together. This concludes Naruto the Last Senju. What if Tsunade adopted Naruto? Part 4. Remember, if you want this series to go into Shippuden, then make sure we get the 40 likes on this video, and we'll have that out in the upcoming future. But also, stay tuned for tomorrow's video, as we're going to be continuing Re:Zero Avatar Lost. What if Aang was in Re:Zero, Season 2, Part 2. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's story. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.